especially Will Greer when he took off on that one scoring drive of the Gators. And Coach McElwain was very impressed with the 2-minute drive. And now against the new Florida coach, the Aggies will handle the ball first. Remember, the Gators won the toss and took the ball, so New Mexico State will have the first possession. And that's a long leg that Mr. Harden has. Coming on out the 25-yard line. And Tyler Rogers, and Doug Martin says he's playing very well.
He sure is. I've been most impressed with the decision-making, Brent. He hasn't put the football in harm's way. We mentioned at the start, 23 interceptions a year ago, way too many. He's been decisive so far in this first half. I think he's been very accurate, especially when he's had time. And because of his play, I think play caller and head coach Doug Martin should have a lot of confidence to continue being aggressive.
As his ace running back, number 3, Larry Rose, swamped. Taken down at the 16 by Jonathan Bullard from Shelby, North Carolina. He'd made 2 or 3 big plays.
He can line up outside. Here he lines up at defensive tackle and swims the center, Anthony McMeans, right into the backfield. Tremendously strong, 280-pound guy that has versatility. He's good in the run game. He's good on the pass rush. And that's something the Gators need here in the second half.
Puts him back in 2nd and 16. Morgan into the backfield. Got the handoff when he stopped, and not much doing with that play. Normally, you don't stop the wide receiver. He's got to come through on timing and take that on an end around. It
was all messed up from the get-go, and it allowed this speedy Florida Gator defense to make the play on the sideline. It's a huge loss. It's a negative play. That's Brian Cox Jr. who made the play, showing you the speed. Looks like he's saying block below the waist. Generally happens in the perimeter of the field. That's a negative play, 2 negative plays right out of the gate for this Florida defense. Kind of woken up. Remember, they were scored on twice right at the end of that first half, playing with a little bit more sense of urgency right now.
Illegal block below the waist, number 82, offense, half the distance to the goal, second down.
Ty Intencio, guilty of that infraction. And they'll be backed up inside the 10-yard line. Second down and 25. Draw play. Now it's 3rd down and a bunch.
And just nowhere to go. That time, the Florida Gators defensive line had a stunt up front. Both defensive ends ended up in the middle of the line of scrimmage. There's just nowhere for Rose to go. Now, 3rd and forever. You just got to get some of this yardage back and give your punter, Greg Hutchins, a little bit of room to work.
They're backed up.
You cannot take a sack here if you're the quarterback, Tyler Rogers.
Inside the 10-yard line. From the end zone, firing deep down the sideline into double coverage, and they will punt it away after the long incompletion.
Well, it was a good first series for this Florida defense. We saw a lot of pressure. We saw some different movement up front on the defensive line, giving this offensive line issues. They're going to get the football back to one of these 2 Florida quarterbacks. We don't know which one, but in very, very good field position.
You would guess Treon Harris would get another shot.
Yeah, I would have.
But it may be moot. Hargraves may take this punt to the end zone.
That's a good point.
He's standing on the Aggie 45. Booming punt. Wants to go to work. Up the middle and slips. He's going to cut to the right, and he slipped and down. And now we'll watch the Gator offense go to work.
looks like Will Grier, he's got his helmet on. Looks like he's getting ready to lead the Florida offense out onto the field.
If he does lead them, then I think there's been separation. I think Jim McElwain extremely impressed by how the youngster responded after a fumble and how he handled the 2-minute drill, how he took off up the middle on that big run. Wants to take another look at him. Grier opens with Kelvin Taylor as his running back alongside. Quick throw, that little bubble screen outside to Robinson. Robinson out of bounds after he crosses the 40.
You said something interesting, Brent, just now. Responded. I know one thing that Jim McElwain's talked a lot about when talking about the quarterback competition. Which quarterback gets the guys around him to play at a higher level? You see him having a conversation with Treon Harris on the sideline, but certainly when Will Grier was out on the field, you talked about the 2-minute drive that was big at the end of that half, scoring as quickly as they did. Both of these guys, you can make a case for both of them. I was impressed watching Treon Harris, and it wouldn't shock me if we see him again in this game.
Grier stands in the pocket and delivers to the 35, and Goolsby. Here comes third down. There is one physical difference, and it was apparent in practice the other day. Will Grier is taller. Grier is about 6'2", and Treon's 5'11". It shows sometimes when there's a big scramble in the middle and those big ruffians have got their hands in the air, sometimes Grier has better vision downfield. That was the only thing I saw. Treon got to the outside in practice a little bit better, but Grier, an underrated runner. We can see that. Now here's your third down. Quick fire for another tight end. Got the first down with Jake McGee.
And I think that's an example of what you're talking about right there, Brent. Because he's taller, he has better vision over the offensive lineman into the middle of the field, and he just plays on time. I mean, this ball, after he gets the shotgun snap, that comes out quickly right as Jake McGee comes out of the cut. We've seen Will Grier do a lot of his damage tonight throwing over the middle of the field. And that's a big part of what Jim McElwain likes to do on offense, particularly when you go back and you watch their style play when he was at Colorado State.
And also when you go to A.J. McCarron at Alabama, you got that size in the pocket that McElwain likes. Obviously likes the size. There's a quick flip to Robinson. The jet sweep. Robinson's out of bounds and may have picked up Coach Stitt out at Montana. Flipped that ball in the air.
Demarcus Robinson is a very special talent. He's the Gators' best deep threat. He's dangerous with the football in his hands after he makes the catch. He needs to be more disciplined. You watch a lot of his film last year. There are times he doesn't run great routes. There's times he drops the football. He has an opportunity to be a special player if he's more disciplined. And if he's been watching any film of Colorado State under Jim McElwain, he will have seen a guy named Rashad Higgins, who was a finalist for the Blitnikoff last year. You can get a lot of passes in this offense if you perform.
He's hit Callaway once for a touchdown. Callaway's off to his looking at Robinson. Out of bounds, but they're in the red zone right now. Now it's third down.
These are all things that Jim McElwain is using to evaluate his quarterbacks. Situational football, it's not just completions and attempts and rushing yards. How do you execute the 2-minute drive? How do you execute the first drive coming out of the locker room at halftime when you've sat down and you've stopped sweating? Can you play at a consistent high level throughout the course of a game? All of these different factors going in through his mind right now as he watches number 7 and number 3.
Will Grier is a redshirt freshman, did not play at all last year. It might have, except he was injured, I know, and talking to the folks here around Gainesville. We gave him a red shirt. He's going to take off and pull down on a fine move. That was a great tackle by Ibekwe. Derek Ibekwe, number 3, got to him.
And it looked like Will Grier may have had this. He just stumbled a little bit and kind of tripped on himself. Watch as he kind of comes out of this. He starts running to his right, and right there he had a little bit of a stutter. Great speed from Ibekwe, who started last year as a true freshman at Sam linebacker, forcing the field goal here by the Gators.
So it's field goal time.
a 34-yard attempt.
Austin Hardin with a 34-yard attempt here from the right hash. Much better than his last extra point attempt. Good. It's 37-13. We'll be right back. Well, Jesse, let's take a look at tonight's AT&T strong performance.
Yeah, Will Greer's really been in a nice rhythm ever since he entered the game in the fourth series. He hit Goolsby there on a wheel route down the sidelines, comes back. I think he's been very accurate and decisive when throwing the football over the middle of the field. He's also run for 43 yards. You see the comparison between both of Florida's quarterbacks, both playing at a very, very high level so far tonight.
All 6 kickoffs so far have been touchbacks for Austin Hardin. He's a redshirt junior out of Atlanta, Georgia. Went to Marist High School. And here is number 7. That is 7 for 7.
I mean, is he taking aim at that crossbar? Because if he didn't just hit it again, he came really close. That is a big-time leg.
He kicked some long field goal, at least attempted them last year. And let's see, on the season, he was 2 of 3 for the Gators.
What an advantage that is, though, Brent, for this team with respect to setting your defense up in good field position. The Gators, for years now, have had good defense. And you do your football team a service when the opponent has to start at the 25-yard line every series and drive 75 yards against a unit like this.
You bet. From the 25, Tyler Rogers checks over, and play has been stopped here.
That is the first charge timeout to New Mexico State.
Getting the play call signal correct. Trying to make sure that the rest of the team understands what's been called. You'll be right back. Gators lead it by 24 with 9 in the third. And the New Mexico State up to the line of scrimmage from the T5 after still another touchback. Tyler Rogers, 11 of 21 on the game for 119 yards. They're going to look like they were going to throw, and now they are. Morgan throwing it downfield, jump ball picked off. Hargraves has got it. Here comes Hargraves to midfield, looking for an alley. Breaks a tackle, and he's down at the 30-yard line.
Top 10 pick.
Top 5 pick.
When you've got ball skills like that, watch Hargraves climb the ladder. He jumped over about 2 or 3 bodies to make this play. He just times it perfectly, has a sense. He goes up over the receiver and a safety, Nick Washington, keeps his balance, and then he turns it north-south. He's got everything you look for in a cornerback. He's got great feet, very good hips. He can change direction, and he's got speed. Led the SEC last year with 13 pass breakups. He is the total package.
44-yard return after the pick. Will Greer stays in the game. Still the quarterback, Jim McElwain, very interested to see if he can finish after that turnover. Flashing to Callaway, and Callaway not much doing on that, number 81. We've got an injury
It's the center.
on a Gator.
Yeah,
Is that the center?
I think it is Cameron Dillard. Grabbing that left leg. You know, early in games like this, with the humidity the way it is, you know, cramping was always an issue. You see Jim McElwain, he's over talking to his center. Remember, very inexperienced offensive line. 3 true freshmen in the 2 deep, including at their center position. Tyler Jordan would have to come in the game if Cameron Dillard cannot continue. You see him, they're giving him a ton of fluids right away, which makes me think that it's a cramp. When you look at a trainer laughing, that also makes you think it's not too serious. But this was like, this humidity, Brent, it's a different kind of heat versus what New Mexico State themselves are even used to. They're used to that dry heat. Out here, this is always such a big advantage for us as a team. First 2 weeks of the season, we play a team from the MAC conference, and they were just different in the third quarter. Yeah.
How come I haven't seen any Aggies crank?
Something in the water.
Come on.
I don't know. I'm just telling you. Friendly fire.
Young man seems to be okay. He'll have to come off, obviously, because he was tended to for at least a play. SEC Rewind flashes back to that historic 1989 Iron Bowl. This is the game that changed the course of history between those two bitter rivals. Put more meaning behind home field advantage. Sunday at 10, SEC, ESPN Network. Jordan Scarlett is the running back. Backup center did a good job of blocking. That was Scarlett, 25. Another coach is upstairs. Look at that. The over coach from Will Muschamp's staff is the offensive line coach, Mike Summers. And Mike Summers had count them, 4 linemen drafted by NFL teams at the end of last year. I can't remember the last time I came to campus and 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen were drafted. So they've got a major rebuilding project going on now with this offensive line. David Sharp, then Biggin down there, number 78, you took a look at. He's on the left side. Great spinning grab by Bailey. Alvin Bailey. He had spun around and snared it.
Yeah, when I watched that live, I thought it was thrown way behind him and would be incomplete, maybe intercepted. The throw was a little bit late that time by Greer. An unbelievable job of concentration. Now, let's take a look again and see if the ball, in fact,
yeah, the point of the ball might be on the ground.
Check this out. I don't know. It may not have. It may have been inside his body, but it was definitely close.
That's what they rule. First down and 10. Greer, and now there is a whistle.
I think there was a false start. I think the running back flinched right before that snap.
Prior to the snap, we were notified by the replay booth that the prior play is under further review.
Good.
But that was smart by the Gators.
Yeah.
Get the play in, get up to the line of scrimmage, and see what you can do, because this one is going to be close. The point of the football is coming down toward the ground as he's making this grab.
Remember, the ruling on the field is it's a catch, so you need indisputable video evidence to overturn that. Watch the football. He doesn't catch it clean right off the bat. Does that point touch the ground? See, right there, it doesn't look like it's
on that ground
touched.
down there, Jess. I think he can overturn that.
See, to me, it doesn't look like it's touching the ground yet.
If it does, I mean.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But looks like the second time around, he kind of puts that and cradles it in his body. Take a look again. It kind of looks like it's partly in his arm. Anything there that shows you that it touched the grass?
Great effort, regardless of how it's ruled upstairs by instant relay. Tough call here for Rocky Good on this play.
Yeah,
it's either going to be.
I don't think it did. I think that left arm stayed under the football.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
You're 2 for 2, Jess.
First down.
Good job. First and 10 at the 11 as a result of that. Great job by Bailey, by the way.
Sure. Unbelievable. You know, this wide receiver group, the tight end group, they've been making plays. That's something that Gator fans haven't seen here in the Swamp.
Yeah, gotcha. Here we go.
Years now.
Go.
Now they've caught 22 passes this game. They've only put 2 on the ground already. And they come with a run with Cronkrite. Powerful run for the freshman. Getting a good look at Scarlett and Cronkrite, and they both look good.
Depth was a major question mark coming into this game. We talked about Kelvin Taylor really being the only experienced running back, but you got to love what you see from both Jordan Scarlett and Jordan Cronkrite. You talked about how they look like SEC backs, Brent. They run very, very physical, which is what you have to be able to do in between the tackles in this conference.
2nd down and 2. Touchdown, Florida. Cronkite. Jordan Cronkite from Miami. Is he hurt? Is that what? Sort of a strange leg move.
Yeah, you might have got a stinger. You see how he's kind of grabbing that right shoulder? That's what he made contact with the linebacker, Terrell Hanks. Watch as he lowers his shoulder. It's the left shoulder that initially makes impact, and he pushes Terrell Hanks right back into the end zone, immediately dropped the football, and then sprinted to the sidelines, holding that shoulder. Take a look again. That's it's the style of running that we're accustomed to from seeing from him. That's his MO. Just hope he's okay.
Harden adds the extra point. What set it up? You know what set it up. Vernon Hargreaves interception on the jump ball, and a 44-yard return sparks the Gators. Now they lead 44-13. Kentucky can't wait for that dandy. Seeing the remodeled stadium up there, checking in with our old friends. That's going to be a heck of a ball game.
And all those young recruits that Mark Stoops keeps stockpiling in recruiting. He's done an unbelievable job. You know, there was that controversial delay of game this year in overtime on a critical pass to DeMarcus Robin, went down to the wire, and I'd expect the game in 2 weeks up in Lexington to do the same.
The margin's 31. Let's see what the Aggies can do. They've been stoned here in the second half.
That defense for Florida has made plays. Pass rush, creating turnovers. The Aggies need an answer right now.
Gives them a chance to return one. Here comes Clark. Down at the 24-yard line, and that's what Rogers and the Aggies will go back to work here. And from down below, we are told by Maria that yes, indeed, Treon Harris starting to loosen up. Wouldn't be surprised if Coach didn't give him the rest of this ball game, so they could take a long look at him. He was perfect in the first half. If you've just joined us, 7 of 7 for 119 yards, a touchdown, no picks. Greer 15 of 17 for 164, 2 touchdowns, and Greer also ran for 1. First down. Here come the Aggies. Rogers snaps it off complete on first down, and that's Hogan.
You know, the defense has been the staple for the Florida Gators for years now. In the Will Muschamp era, all 4 years, they never finished worse than 15th total. Will Muschamp left a lot of talent on this side of the ball for Jim McElwain to work with. Their secondary we've talked about already ad nauseum. Their defensive line is big and physical. They have tremendous team speed. And while we go through these early stages of a brand new system on offense for Florida, I think this defense gives them a chance to win right now. That's the good news if you're the Florida Gators.
2nd and 4. Hargreaves and friends still out on the field for the Gators. Too high in the flat. Rose was the target out there, but the defender made Rogers get the ball maybe a little bit higher than he wanted to on that play, and that was this youngster, C.C. Jefferson. You Gator fans remember that name. Number 96, C.C. Jefferson. Glenn St. Mary over in the Jacksonville area. Now, the Aggies are 1 of 8 on 3rd down against Jeff Collins' defense. Jeff Collins came to the Gators from Mississippi State, where he did a terrific job. His D now is looking at a 3rd and 4. In trouble. Sacked at the 19-yard line. And down he went in the arm. Justice Reed making another play.
We're seeing a lot of that depth we talked about up front right now for the Gators. And Reed just working here on the outside. It's a simple stunt. Gets some push. Isaiah Folasa, the guard, can't stick with him on the trade. He's able to knife into the backfield. Again, pass rusher in the second half for the Gators has been really big.
Hargraves is salivating. Just give me something to return. Standing at the Gator 47. Fair catch. Sure-handed. Great to have him down there. Well, there we are with Treon Harris coming out, and now it's his turn.
Right, and now it's his turn to change his mindset. Remember, Treon Harris was the one that started hot. Will Grier was the one coming onto the field that had to not play outside of himself, trying to make all the big throws. Well, Will Greer's been on fire now, and now it's Treon Harris that has to come in and focus on executing the plays that are called and not trying to win the job on every throw. This is really interesting from a mental toughness standpoint, watching both of these quarterbacks compete here tonight.
Harris out of Miami. He threw for better than 1,000 yards last year, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And he comes with the running play in Scarlett.
Again,
You know, that left tackle is an interesting story. Mason Halter. He's a transfer from Fordham. Now, Martez Ivy, the ballyhooed freshman from Apopka, Florida, down the road close to Orlando, I believe, he was injured. Otherwise, he would be there. And that tells you just how good a recruit is, standing on the sideline in civilian clothes. And they say he's not going to be gone long. They're going to get him in, I suppose, against East Carolina next week. They'd love to give him some experience if they can. 2nd down and 7. Snaps it off to the outside. C.J. Wharton, and Wharton with a beautiful run after the catch.
if you're a Gator fan, it's fun to watch these receivers in space make plays. The name Wharton may be familiar to a lot of people in the state of Florida. Remember, his brother JJ was a standout receiver at UCF, probably had the catch of the year 2 seasons ago in a big win against Temple. But look at his younger brother CJ doing a nice job in space, making guys miss. Another first down for the Gators.
He's 8 of 8. Harris is perfect. High percentage throws in a foot race, downfield, diving, showers. And that's his first incompletion.
And Brent, the wide receiver position is the one that I think has to improve the most here in the next couple of years that Jim McElwain wants to compete for SEC championships. I think for the last several years, they've been very average as a group. They've had some misses in recruiting. They've had some guys transfer away, but they haven't had enough explosive plays. And they've been behind against other SEC schools, but in-state, Florida State, Miami, even UCF, they've had better receiving units than the Gators for the last several years, and that's something that has to change.
2nd down and 10. Scarlett dragged down. Talk about the receivers that you had when you were here.
You know, I just talked to one of them, Travis McGriff, who's here. I counted this yesterday. I played with 11 different draft picks at wide receiver or tight end during my time. I mean, this used to be wide receiver U. When Urban Meyer was here, when Tim Tebow was in the building throwing passes, it was Percy Harvin and Riley Cooper and Lewis Murphy and David Nelson and Aaron Hernandez. I mean, this was wide receiver U. It certainly hasn't been that the last several years. It needs to get back to that.
So here comes your 3rd down and 8. Kelvin Taylor comes in as the running back. Complete for a first down to Showers again to the 23-yard line. Big 3rd down throw.
It was. There was a lot of velocity, and it's a good thing. I thought Treon Harris was a tad bit late letting this go. He's got that in-breaking route in between zones, and it's a perfect throw in space, but you see it was almost too late, almost picked off by the linebacker, Hanks. But we've seen nice velocity. The football really coming out cleanly from Treon Harris's hands tonight.
Football just shy of the 23-yard line, it looks like. 2:48 left here in the 3rd quarter. Taylor stopped around the 20. I think he crossed the red zone if he spotted there, just across it.
And Brian, one thing Jim McElwain likes in his run game, he likes the pistol formation. And we've seen that a little bit tonight from the Florida Gators, where the running backs line up right behind the quarterback, and the defense doesn't know if he's going to go left, right, or right up the middle. It's hard for defenses to slant their defensive line anticipating which way the run play is going to go, and it's a nice little added wrinkle for Jim McElwain, Doug Nussmeier, and this Florida offense this year.
Scarlett will check in now. Remember, Cronkrite scored a touchdown, but was shaken up on that play. Good fake. And incomplete.
Number 99, Stephen Meredith for New Mexico State, is having himself a ball game. I mean, he's been living in the backfield of the Florida Gators. He hasn't always been able to finish the plays. He did right there. This is a guy that's had to fight through injuries throughout his career with the Aggies, but coming in from the left side of your screen, a nice job keeping contained and staying home, not jumping, going for the fake, but making sure he gets the tackle. He's had a very good ball game.
Taylor checks back in as the running back. 3rd and 6. They do like him for pass pro. I can see that with the way they're substituting, and sometimes that takes a while for freshmen to pick up. He's eyeing, and then he slips out if it's clean and broken up. It was a nice play down there by Dalton Harrington.
Ball thrown just a little bit behind Jake McGee. Again, lucky not to get this picked off. You know, again, I just think Treon Harris may have been just, you know, that has to come out on time. And it certainly has to be out in front of the wide receiver in these zone defenses. There's 2 throws. Treon Harris has been lucky. Weren't intercepted. Nonetheless, Gators still have an opportunity for a field goal.
So a 36-yard attempt here for Austin Hardin. He has 1 field goal on the night. Booms it. 2 for 2 kicking field goals. Gators lead it by 34. Timeout in Gainesville. Audio that you've seen for years from NFL Films, those guys in Philly, and now the SEC Network bringing their own version, and that's always a lot of fun. Austin Hardin is getting himself a workout.
Gotta ice that leg.
Booms another one coming out on the 25. Gives us a quick opportunity to check that SEC scoreboard. There were some mighty big games today. Auburn won one of them, 31-24 over Louisville. How about Ole Miss with 76? Missouri with an easy win. Texas A&M's been in a dogfight up 10. Georgia rolling, looking good. Arkansas explodes today. So does Tennessee. And Alabama now 2 touchdowns out of Wisconsin. Just what jumps off that page for you?
Well, I just think a good opening weekend for the SEC. Of course, South Carolina beat North Carolina on Thursday night, and it's a very wide open conference. A lot of new quarterbacks, or a lot of quarterback battles, a lot of new defensive coordinators around the league. But these interconference games against tough competition, the SEC's look pretty good.
Quick flip to Bowen on the outside on that first time. You have Danny Cannell's text number, do you?
Yeah, I got his number.
Well, you know, I've got to jump on that rascal, the old quarterback from Florida State. He's been putting the SEC down. He's been touting the Pac-12 as the best division in count. How's that working out, Danny? Just kidding now. 2nd down and 9. No, I'm really not. I have to tell you, I think the SEC West a year ago was a little overrated. I don't think they're overrated this year. I think they're underrated. We got some quarterbacks that are settling in now, and this is going to be a fist fight over here in the West.
And big-time programs that with quarterback competitions. We're talking about what was happening in Florida all offseason, but you look at places like Alabama and LSU and Ole Miss and Texas A&M. A lot of uncertainty, but as we saw today in week 1, a lot of these new quarterbacks that we didn't know very much about, a lot of them playing as if they're veterans and playing at a very high level.
3rd down and 8 for Rogers and the Aggies. Can he get there? No. That Davis makes another play. 40 and let's take a look at the SEC preseason media poll. I think all of us would agree about Georgia. I don't think anybody wants to disagree with that right now. I wouldn't know who to pick over the rest.
I mean, I picked Auburn because expecting their offense to be explosive. I think Will Muschamp might have been the hire of the year for a defense that needed a mind like that badly. And early in today's game against Louisville, they looked lights out. Second half, totally different story.
Hargraves still on the field. They back him up a little bit on this punt. Fair catch. Good hands. And what a pleasure it is to have him back there fielding punts. And he's made good decisions. And if they do punt a returnable one, he could take it to the house before the season's over. Gators looking sharp tonight, folks. We begin the money quarter with Florida leading by 34 over New Mexico State, 47-13. Gators still with Treon Harris under center, and they will start from just inside their own 35-yard line. Jordan Scarlett going to get some reps here as the running back in his final quarter. Play action. Harris rolling to the right now. And let's check in with Maria Taylor. Maria.
You know, Brett, we're in the McElwain era, but if you're a redshirt senior like Trip Thurman, then you've endured 2 different head coaches and 3 different offensive coordinators. When I talked to him about those kinds of transitions, he said it's kind of difficult when you're relearning everything that you know and you have to change your attitude every single season. So it's interesting to see these guys endure what they've been through, but have some success here today on offense.
And we got a peek there at Thurman, Maria. And there's Harris handing off. Scarlett with a strong run for the first down. And you know, since 08, Jess, I can't keep up with the changes that have gone on here.
Well, continuity is obviously something that's very important to teams and their success, and it's something, unfortunately, the Florida Gators haven't had. And you know, we talked about how the quarterback play since Tim Tebow has been subpar. They haven't had enough skill players on offense, and having 3 different offensive coordinators doesn't help either. That's something that needs to change here with Jim McElwain. You mentioned 7 different receiver coaches in 7 years. It's just important for players to hear the same voices day in, day out in the meeting room, on the practice field, and in the games.
1st and 10. Treon hit from behind on that throw. Boy, it was backside pressure coming that time, and that was Reese. He's a freshman from Tyler, Texas. Down Tyler way, I want to tell you, they play some good high school football, and Harris shaken up on that play. Yeah, he got ripped by this youngster.
Yeah, he took a really, really big shot coming from his right side as he's focusing downfield, working through his progression. 74, Fred Johnson, a true freshman playing right tackle that gets beat, and he has 2 defenders just land on top of him. It's incredible that he even got this football out.
2nd down. Scarlett. Now you can see how the coaching that goes on now. The 4th quarter, we've got a sizable lead. Stay in bounds. Stay in bounds. Don't kill that clock. Keep it running for us. We got a nice lead here. And Harris proving that, you know, shaken up. He's a gamer, hanging in.
Yeah, you know, I was just watching him a moment ago, and he was kind of shaking that right arm that he kind of fell on top of, still feeling the after effects. There's a situation, though, where Treon Harris's legs can be a major asset. Quarterback draw, moving the pocket.
Got to get it off. Now we're inside 5. Just as it zeroed out. Looks back for the 1st down. 1st down at the 40-yard line. C.J. Wharton again. The
biggest difference between these 2 quarterbacks for me tonight has been timing. I think Will Grier has thrown on time more often than Treon Harris has. And watching that last play, I thought he had Ciante Lewis, his tight end, number 80, wide open right now. You got to let that go. He just kind of hesitated. Did a good job coming back to his second read and hitting C.J. Wharton. But look at the tight end, number 80, here in the slot. That's open. He's at the 1st down marker, and he's got to get that football. I think Will Grier's been a little bit more decisive. That's one thing that has stood out to me between these two guys.
First down and 10. Ball at the Aggies 40-yard line now. Play action. Deep down the sideline. Incomplete. Goolsby working the deep pattern as the tight end. Well, he's got some good speed for a 6'4", 243 tight end. He got down the sideline pretty good.
Yeah, he did. Tight ends going to be a huge part of the game plan. They've been a big part of the passing attack tonight for the Florida Gators. And it's something Jim McElwain throughout his years, he loves to use multiple tight ends. And we've seen a lot of really good young athletes. Check it out. 7 catches, 100 yards, 2 TDs for this group. It's probably been the biggest surprise from a position standpoint we've seen tonight.
Case Harrison checks in as the running back. First time we've seen him tonight. Gets the handoff. Nice gain. Harrison coming in now. He's the 4th running back used by the Gators here tonight.
I like him, Brent. I watched him in 2 scrimmages on tape compete extremely hard. He was a walk-on, got awarded a scholarship during fall camp. What a great opportunity, what a great moment for him. And a lot of these 3rd-string players now with a 47-13 lead, with an opportunity to get in a game, get in the swamp in front of your family, in front of these fans, get some PT.
And, how about that number, Emmitt Smith?
Yeah.
Slipped on that one, and Noah Brown blew that play up, and so it is 4th down now. And let's see if McElwain wants to position punt it or go ahead and go for it. Looks like he's going to go for it.
Yeah.
He's got his offensive personnel on the field.
Well, he's easily within Austin Hardin's distance. We've seen the leg of Florida's kicker.
Scarlett will be the running back. He or Harris as a ball carrier. The clock winds down inside of 11 minutes here. McElwain attempting to mount a scoring drive at the same time pound down that clock. Harris is going to throw, rolling to the left. Sideline, caught at the 11-yard line by Josh Grady, the transfer from Vanderbilt, a quarterback / wide receiver, and Grady makes his first catch of the night.
There is method to Jim McElwain's madness. Leaving the offense on in a 4th down to see how Treon Harris is going to respond. Does a great job buying himself time, rolling to his left. Nice touch. And giving the Vanderbilt quarterback transfer an opportunity to get underneath it. You know, a lot of people at home thinking, hey, you're up 47-13. Why are you going for it? Just kick a field goal. No, he's evaluating the quarterback position.
4th and 3, 25 yards. Scarlett powers across the 5-yard line, and now it'll be 2nd down and goal.
The red zone offense for the Gators tonight has been about as good as you wanted. They've scored 6 times in 6 trips, including 4 touchdowns.
They have 508 yards of offense. Touchdown, Gators! A 40-point lead for the Florida Gators. The Gator chomp is strong tonight. Love in this offense. Jim McElwain's debut, and they have put 54 points up on the board. Harden adds the extra point.
It is late, guys.
SEC. I'm declaring the Big 3 all winners. Auburn, of course, is already in the house. Now we've got Texas A&M. It's 28-7 Alabama. SEC. Come on, Jess, why are you quiet, man?
No, I'm saying it on the inside.
Okay, all right.
Man, we don't need to pile on right now. It's early in the season.
Oh, come on, we gloat down here, you know? That's why people dislike us. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Coming out on the 25-yard line. Well, the youngsters from Las Cruces. There's the offensive line.
Mike Summers, the coach you see there on the right, he's the only holdover from the World Muschamp coaching staff. He's done an unbelievable job. Take a look at this touchdown. Look at number 78, 6'6", 355, climb into the second level and get 2 blocks. Solid assignments. I've been really impressed with this young, inexperienced line. They only had 10 combined starts in the FBS coming into tonight, 3rd fewest in the country. And by the way, all those starts by left guard Trip Thurman. They've looked good as a unit. This is a group that has to grow up very quickly. Because starting in 2 weeks at Kentucky, these defensive lines are going to start to look a lot different.
Rogers stays in, runs the quarterback draw, and that play was blown up.
Yeah, and you know what I'll say about the Aggies? They have looked impressive, especially offensively. I know they only have 13 points, but we've seen some explosive playmaking from them. Their head coach and play caller, Doug Martin, has said his goal every game once they get into conference play is to go 30 points a game. That's the goal. And they feel like they can get there because of the playmakers. You look, last year in the Sun Belt Conference, the teams that finished in the top 5, they were the only ones that averaged 30 a game, and they feel like the Aggies can do that this year.
2nd and 13. Incomplete third. I'll tell you what'll make them feel better heading home tonight.
What's that?
$1 million payday. Helps the budget a lot.
Get a lot of coin. Are you flying back in a Lear jet, or you just...
I'm telling you, but they'll go back to Las Cruces with. That's the payday for coming in here to Gainesville and playing. And of course, they've got Sun Belt Conference games up now.
And you know what?
They want to get out of here without any major injuries. They got a little fire.
They do. You know? Sun Belt's going to be interesting. Appalachian State comes back, I think, with 20 starters, the most in the country. Georgia Southern running the triple option will be interesting. But these guys are going to put up some wins.
No chance. So when we talk about the Sun Belt and the preseason poll, there you see Georgia Southern. They're in the neighborhood here. Louisiana Lafayette, Arkansas State. They were the top 3.
Arkansas State, for the first time in 5 years, actually held on to the same head coach. That never happens there. Gus Malzahn, Brian Harsin, in and out. It's a
revolving door.
rotate, I know. It's unbelievable.
Hargraves will get another shot.
Hugh Freeze, I should point out. Unbelievable.
It's 54-13. 8 minutes remaining. And penalty flag apparently was thrown. It's being discussed now. And
oh, there's some extracurricular activity on the play. Looked like between Daniel McMillan from the Florida Gators got tussled up with an Aggie.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 31, receiving team, number 13, blue.
Yeah, I think you got that messed
Florida.
up.
I'm not going to go there with the names.
You meant 13.
Let's just let it
That
go.
is their first
Okay.
unsportsmanlike conduct foul for each player.
Okay, so we'll take a break.
Come out.
Gators cruising. Jim McElwain's debut. Gator fans are ecstatic about the offense that they have seen tonight.
You pointed out there. You pointed when you said flag.
Next.
collecting air miles. I'm putting these things to use this offseason.
First down and 10. Flash the completed pass. And battling for a first down, and that's going to be very close. My friend, that was some week. That was some week you had. And we got a lot of people watching Good Morning America. They say, "You've seen Jesse? Comes on a little early in Montana, but you understand we get the DVR and we watch."
Yeah, it kills my social life. You have to go to bed.
What time do you go to the studio?
Sometimes I have to be there at 5:30 in the morning. So you know, it's an early bedtime, but you know. It's
tough job, and
someone's got to do it. Exactly. I'm a team player, Brent.
Second down and 1 yard to go. And the Gators killing the clock now with the first down, and who knows? So, Jesse, it's great to be back, and we've got Maria Taylor. How happy is Maria today with the Georgia Bulldogs and Nick Chubb exploding down there?
And Brent, too, the Florida volleyball team, they got a win over Texas. They upset third-ranked Texas.
All right.
Fourth-ranked Florida volleyball players. They get a win, too. So, Jesse, you should be excited.
Hey, Florida Gator fans everywhere rejoice. The Jim McElwain offense looks good. The Florida women's volleyball team. Maria, what were they? Third in the country?
Third in the country.
Okay.
Shut them down.
Big day in Gville.
Here's first down at 6:46. Harris firing to a wide open receiver inside the 20-yard line, and here they go again. Bailey making the star catch for them.
Nice little play action. This time Harris doing a nice job working through the progression and throwing that football on time and out in front. We've seen Alvin Bailey make some plays here in the second half of the Gators outside.
25 yards, and now that handoff, and the young man is Mark Herndon. That's number 37, who they're using now as the ball carrier.
In the big picture, it was so important for the Gators to have success on offense, to try and gain some confidence. For years now, they've been reminded constantly they're the weak link of the football team. A lot of youth and inexperience, running a new system. I went back and watched the film of their scrimmages this summer against the defense, Brent. They got their butts kicked. So it's very important tonight. Next week against East Carolina, they continue to do things to build confidence before they get into conference play.
And that conference play open. Low snap picked up by Harris. And he'll be run out of bounds at the 7-yard line. 5:42.
Shotgun snaps, something that Jim McElwain, Doug Nussmeier, and this offense are going to work on. They've been a little bit all over the place. Of course, Treon Harris had one snapped over his head early. You see Jim McElwain looking on this one now a little bit low. I mean, Treon Harris, great job just fielding that. Looked like that was supposed to be a handoff, and a nice job trying to make something out of nothing. But these shotgun snaps, with a true freshman in at center now and Tyler Jordan, these need to become automatic.
Third down and goal. Herndon, he's covered, so Harris takes off, and now it'll be fourth down and goal from around about the 6-yard line. 5 minutes remaining here. Gators cruising to their first win. And just told you about East Carolina next week, and then of course they'll open a conference play in 2 weeks at Kentucky.
Right, they're going to go for it on 4th and goal. I know there's a lot of people at home right now saying you're piling on, you're winning 54-13, you went for it on 4th down last series. Why are you doing it again? Situational, it's a new offense. Jim McElwain wants answers. Play the game.
Exactly. Harris lobs it wide open. Did he come down inbounds? The back judge looking to see he's got it. Yes, he did. C.J. Wharton. He's from Homestead. He's down south of Miami. My only question is about his feet down there in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, it was a really good route by Wharton. This is a double move. You're going to see him work in the back of the end zone here. I think that right foot touched first. The question is, did he have control of the football at that point? It looks like he does. I think ruling on the field was a touchdown. I think that's going to stand.
I am not challenging Jesse Plummer.
Tonight at least.
He is. Well, you got that right.
It's a long season. I've worked with you for a year already. I know.
Gainesville party well underway. To 5, Bob, you get the pulse of the SEC. Listen to him for 30, 45 minutes. Get some of those callers from around the South. It's a great listen. He does a terrific job with that show. And SEC Nation, which you were looking at, presented by Regions Bank, will be at Vanderbilt in Nashville next Saturday, beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern. They, of course, visit every ballpark in the SEC. Heck of a show on the SEC network. Another kick that won't be returned, and let's check in with Maria.
You guys are talking SEC Nation. They started out the day, but SEC Now is going to round it out right after we go off the air. You can catch my little brother, Dari, Booger McFarland. He once wore a short-sleeve dress suit to the ESPYs. And Chris Doering, another Gator. You get to hear from him right after we go off, guys.
What's wrong with the short sleeve, or what was that, the short sleeve suit?
Short-sleeve dress suit.
Was that
There are
Booger?
pictures.
That was Booger,
That was
right?
Booger, yeah.
I remember seeing that. You know what, though?
You would never do that, Jesse.
I would never tell him not to do it. If you're Booger McFarland, you wear what you want.
Final 4:23 now for Tyler Rogers and the Aggies. They'd like to have a little something to build on. Xavier Hall from Las Cruces, hometown youngster. Of course, their big game is against New Mexico. And our old buddy Bob Davie. They took Bob and the Lobos to the wall last year before losing. I think I was 38-35 if I remember the score. And it's been tough against the bigger conferences for New Mexico State. But there will be better days for this team. Rogers flares it to the outside, and Hall, he's out of bounds about the 27, 28-yard line.
And I agree with you, Brent. I think people that are familiar with the Sun Belt Conference and certainly their opponents, if they're watching this game and when they watch this game film, they're going to see a more explosive offense, a quarterback that's making better decisions, a defense that is bigger and more physical. And this is a team now that's ready to compete in that conference. I really believe that. I don't think it's out of bounds to say that, you know, their goal should be to go to a bowl game.
Now they're in a physical mismatch here today. Incomplete. 4th and 6 coming up.
We got to talk about Jeff Collins, defensive coordinator that you had mentioned. Brent came from Mississippi State. Really good hire, I thought, by Jim McElwain because of familiarity. And the Gator defense was not broken. So they bring in Jeff Collins, who runs a very similar scheme, something that the players would be familiar with. Of course, having coached in the SEC, he's got familiarity with his opponents. He's recruited this conference. It's a really, really good hire by Jim McElwain to bring in Jeff Collins and his psycho defensive mentality.
Hargrave's work night is over. Callaway, another freshman, has been sent in, and he fields it on the run. Can he get a block? He's got great speed. Stayed outside and picked up some traffic, and there's a penalty flag. Hang on.
It's the same guy that got called the last series for unsportsmanlike conduct. It's Daniel McMillan. He's kind of coming into the play late. He blows up the long snapper Andrew Kenny. I mean, from behind. You'll see this. It's not smart football, and it's something that the special teams coordinator Jim McElwain, they're going to have a discussion with him. Got to play under control, and he's not doing that right now.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 13, receiving team, 10-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
Yeah, that certainly was McMillan. Guilty. Take a look at it. Watch for number 13. Here he comes. Yep. And that is the first charged penalty of the night on the board. And Josh Grady is going to quarterback. He's going to finish this game up. Remember, he transferred. He was a quarterback on the keeper and runs it out to the 45-yard line. So it's great to see Josh get a shot here at quarterback. He's out of the Tampa area.
And he brings a maturity to the team, to the locker room, something they need. You know, they only have 6 senior scholarship players here at Florida. And they really needed a guy like Josh Grady to kind of come in with his workmanlike attitude all throughout training camp. Good having him in the quarterback room, good having him in the receiver room. Important guy.
He's going to work on the clock right now and get a first down, stay in bounds. So the two quarterbacks, and the competition continues. Harris 14-19, 215 and 2 touchdowns. Greer 15-17, 164, 2 touchdowns. Greer did run for one.
Yeah, he did. And, you know, I thought Will Greer was a little bit more decisive. If I was looking for an angle, he certainly had more explosive plays with his feet in this game. But, Brent, I'll be honest, I won't be surprised if this competition continues into East Carolina.
Agreed. Here's the handoff to Harrison again. Just like you said, good strong run by Harrison. You know, Jess, I want to go back on a stat. I can't remember doing an opening game with anybody, certainly not in the SEC, where you've had only one penalty. That's remarkable. You know, Jim McElwain has a point of emphasis with it.
Smart football. And you never expect it, you're right, Brent, on game one. But it's something that is a point of emphasis for them and their staff. It's really been wherever he's been. And it's a point of emphasis on everybody's staff. But you know, when kids buy in and listen, when you play as clean as a game as they play, that's a huge takeaway.
Harrison. See, they spotted very close to the first down. Clock winding down to a minute and a half, and Jim McElwain, the era is underway.
Well, and to put it into context, unbelievable numbers today. 61 points, 600 yards of offense, and it's great. It's a great first step. I'll remind people, though, Florida last year in their Week 1 game beat Eastern Michigan 65-0. Certainly the offense didn't look at all anything similar to that as the season went on. East Carolina next week is going to be a step up in competition. This offense needs to just continue to build pieces.
Flaring the forward pass to the outside for the 1st and 10. The Gators now figure to kill the clock. And they'll walk off and get ready for East Carolina. Certainly, Jess, I agree with you about Greer, but I don't think anything was decisive.
Yeah, no, I don't either. And give Treon Harris and both these guys a lot of credit. I mean, they're competing. And you can tell they like each other. They stand by each other. They talk to each other on the bench. You know, you hear competition brings out the best in people. I think that's really the case here because both are playing at such a high level. The other one has to raise his game, and everything benefits this team.
I go back to your original point. Don't concentrate on your stats. Concentrate on winning the game.
Yeah, most important thing, unselfish, leadership, all great qualities of quarterbacks, and these two guys should feel very good about the way they play tonight.
Doug Martin will take.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you. Anything we can do.
The Aggies back.
Good luck.
Las Cruces. Players for the two teams. McElwain is with Maria Taylor, so let's go to Maria.
Staying hydrated down here, Coach, and I heard Coach Martin telling you got two great-looking quarterbacks and you're able to roll up about 600 yards of offense. How would you compare what you saw from both of your guys?
Well, I thought, you know, it'll be interesting to see when we get it. I thought both of them bring a little bit different to the table. And, you know, we've got to sit down and do a good job this week. You know, we've got to get some things squared around our special teams and stuff. But I'm happy for this offensive unit to be able to produce some points and play catch.
What would you ultimately say are the different characteristics that each brings to the table?
Well, you know, I don't know. I mean, they both have different voices. I don't know, but they do. You know what I mean? Each one of them, you know, they did a really good job of handling what we asked them to handle, and that's probably why we're most proud.
One thing we saw was that 13 different guys actually received a pass, so you spread it out.
Yeah.
How were you able to manufacture that kind of offense?
You know, that's just something we believe in. You know, the guys come here, you know, we try to spread it around, take what the defense gives you, and I think for the most part our guys did a pretty good job of that.
All right, this is your first time coaching for the Florida Gators. You've completed your first game. You got to describe what it feels like to have a win in your column.
Well, I tell you what, anytime you can get a win, no matter where you're at, it's awesome. But this is a special place, and I'm sure happy to be here.
All right, Coach, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Is the quarterback competition settled at all?
Oh, no. We got two good ones.
All right, congratulations on the win, Coach.
Thanks.
He knows how to handle himself, and as an alum, you got to be really happy here. Button it up for me.
Yeah, you know, I think Gator fans everywhere that watch this game have to love what they've seen in the first step of the Jim McElwain era. The offense was extremely